But King Charles should have been wise to what Prince Harry was always going to do. Prince William was right. I was right. Those witches in the mainstream media like Camilla Tominay were completely wrong. Because within just days of that face-to-face, Prince Harry has given a sick and egregious, a completely false new interview with the hard-left UK newspaper, which admits itself that it hates the monarchy. And within it, Prince Harry stands by his slurs, his smears, his downright lies against the royal family, against the Queen, against Catherine, the princess.
Prince Harry has done it again. The one thing his family begged him not to do, he went ahead and did it anyway. He opened his mouth, ran with it, and set the palace on fire all over again. Some call it arrogance, others stupidity. But one thing is undeniable. Harry just cannot stop himself. Every time there's the faintest chance of building bridges, he lights a match and tosses it straight onto the pile. And this latest interview, proof that the rebel prince has no intention of slowing down. The man is addicted to chaos.
This man will never learn. He's also declared war with the British government, admitting that he ignored their advice in Ukraine to go and secretly meet Volodymyr Zelensky.
People thought they were witnessing history when King Charles and Prince Harry clasped hands at that so-called peace summit. Oh, the cameras loved it, flashes went wild, headlines blared, reconciliation at last, and royal watchers dared to believe a reunion was on the cards. But let's not kid ourselves. Inside Buckingham Palace, there was no celebrating. That handshake wasn't peace. It was a ticking time bomb, and everyone behind those gilded doors knew it.
Absolute brat. Just like his wife. In fact, Prince Harry torpedoed his entire sort of quote-unquote goodwill tour to the UK last week in one single very, and I'm sorry to say.
And then came that headline, the one that had Buckingham Palace spinning into meltdown mode. 5 little words, "My conscience is clear," splashed across The Guardian, bold as brass. That wasn't just a statement, it was a dagger, a slap across Charles's weary face. Imagine the humiliation. Charles, who had just bent his pride, reaching out to pull Harry back into the royal fold, only to be rewarded with betrayal in bold print. Brutal.
King Charles, your son is a liability. The peace deal has to end. Now what we're going to do...
Think about the timing. The king is already battling health concerns, trying desperately to steady his reign, holding on to the faint hope that his son might finally stop dragging the family's laundry out for public display. And then there's Harry, smirking for the cameras, doubling down without a shred of regret, not even a flicker of remorse. He stands by every accusation, every bomb he's dropped, every bitter word. Charles had hoped for a glimmer of contrition. Instead, he got the opposite. Defiance served ice cold.
With The Guardian, where he claims he has no regrets about what he said about his family, that he was not somehow airing his dirty laundry in spare, and that
And just look at the timing. This wasn't months later, after wounds could maybe begin to heal. Number, days. Barely enough time for the ink on those reconciliation headlines to dry before Harry pulled the pin on another grenade. Palace aides, they looked like ghosts drifting through corridors. One insider put it plainly, it was like watching someone stab the king in slow motion. That's how devastating it was.
Is clear. Prince Harry on Ukraine, his family, and the media. It says exclusive. The Duke talks about the...
And William, he wasn't surprised in the slightest. He had warned his father, warned him that this was coming. He's long branded Harry reckless, impulsive, addicted to pity. And when the headline broke, William reportedly muttered, "I told you so. Brutal words, yes, but wrong, not a chance." Every word hit the mark.
Okay, so you made your grandmother's last couple months and years a misery, your grandfather, you made your father's life a misery, but no regrets at all. Apparently it's all hunky-dory for Harry and he's happy. He has to tell us how...
Those 5 words, "My conscience is clear," cut deeper than Harry could have imagined. To the royals, it was clear as day. Harry isn't finished. He's not looking to reconcile. He's not interested in forgiveness, and he's certainly not letting go. No, he's gearing up for round 2. And this time, Charles and William are firmly in his crosshairs.
In the press and boxing, as The Guardian joins him on a visit to Kyiv. And the reporter who was sent with him writes, because of the sheer numbers of wounded Invictus has become increasingly...
For the public, it was confirmation that the cheeky people's prince is gone, replaced by a bitter exile drowning in grievances. For Buckingham Palace, it was confirmation of what they already feared: the so-called peace deal was dead. Harry may claim his conscience is clear, but the wreckage he leaves behind, as murky as it gets.
Yes, Prince Harry, you are absolutely stubborn, because that's going to rankle him. Like, when you have an antagonistic relationship with the media, it's probably not the best idea to tell.
And here's the kicker. Harry didn't just pick any media outlet. Out of the entire global press landscape, he chose The Guardian, the same paper notorious for shredding the monarchy at every opportunity. That wasn't poor judgment, it was deliberate, calculated, a bold, unmistakable statement.
Surprisingly has achieved cult hero status. So this is very much what Harry's PR team were trying to set out with this interview. They didn't actually want to blow up the peace deal with the British royal family.
By cozying up to The Guardian, Harry wasn't just giving an interview. He was choosing sides in a war that has defined his adult life. Forget his royal title. Forget loyalty to the institution that raised him, fed him, clothed him, and literally crowned his family. By aligning with The Guardian, Harry may as well have signed up for the Down with the Monarchy fan club. The betrayal couldn't have been louder if he'd shouted it from Buckingham's balcony. And don't be fooled, this was no accident. Harry knew exactly what he was doing. Sitting down with a paper openly hostile to his family was like pouring petrol onto a fire already raging out of control. If he'd chosen the Times, maybe, just maybe, the palace could have spun it as a misstep. But The Guardian? That was a slap across Charles's face in neon letters. The irony is thick enough to cut with a knife. Harry probably thought he was being clever, aligning himself with the very press that despises his family as much as he claims to. In his head, he's the brave truth teller, the rogue prince standing tall against the system. But to everyone else, he comes across as petty, vindictive, and desperate for validation. Applause from the wrong crowd is still desperation, no matter how you spin it. Even his former defenders are shaking their heads. Royal commentators, people who once went out of their way to justify his actions, now call this a disaster. One described it as a match made in chaos. Another quipped, "It's like he's addicted to picking the worst possible option every single time." And honestly, that sounds about right. Harry always seems to gravitate toward the most self-destructive path. And inside Buckingham Palace? Oh, the fury was volcanic. Aides described Harry's decision as tone-deaf at best and calculated at worst. And let's be real, they're right. He didn't stumble into this. He marched right into it, fully aware of the explosion it would cause. The message couldn't be clearer. Harry no longer sees himself as part of the royal fabric. He's not just burning bridges, he's dancing on the ashes while the tabloids click away. And The Guardian? They couldn't be happier. To them, the rebel prince is a gift that keeps on giving. Scandal, chaos, and another nail hammered into the monarchy's coffin. And just when you thought the interview couldn't get stranger, Harry made it worse. He pulled out personal confessions so bizarre they had jaws dropping everywhere. Instead of carefully curating his image, he gave the world front row seats to his messiest, most awkward thoughts. He casually confessed to hating cycling because of his bony ass. Yes, really. The once proud soldier prince sat down with a broadsheet and talked about his backside. As if that weren't surreal enough, he admitted to spending hours pounding a punching bag just to decompress. Picture it. Harry, drenched in sweat in some California gym, swinging wildly at imaginary enemies, maybe William, maybe the tabloids, maybe even the palace corgis. He framed it as therapy, but let's not kid ourselves. That's not the vibe of a happy, stable man. That's the vibe of someone still fuming, still bitter, still nursing grudges he refuses to let go of. Happy men don't spend endless hours boxing shadows. Content men don't give interviews where they overshare about their anatomy. These were the confessions of a man unraveling, not a man healing. And the irony, he probably thought this would make him relatable, even endearing. Instead, it just added fuel to the narrative that Harry is spiraling. Instead of projecting strength, he revealed weakness. Instead of sounding in control, he sounded lost. And The Guardian gleefully printed every word. If this was a PR attempt to rehabilitate his image, it failed in spectacular fashion. Instead of repairing his reputation, Harry handed critics even more ammunition. Inside Buckingham Palace, the whispers grew louder. Meghan missing in action during Harry's most controversial interview? That wasn't just gossip. That was a signal. Even if we don't know what it means yet, one thing is certain. Harry's lone wolf act only added to the chaos. Harry's Guardian sit-down wasn't just bizarre. It was reckless. On paper, he tried to make it look respectful. He claimed, sweetly, that his father, King Charles, was now his priority. Sounds noble, right? Wrong. In royal language, those four little words words detonated like a landmine. Because what was the implication? That Charles doesn't have much time left? Yes, Harry went there again. This wasn't the first time either. Remember his infamous BBC interview where he casually hinted his father was living on borrowed time? He did it once more, this time dressed up as concern. And for Buckingham Palace, it was nothing short of shocking. One senior aide couldn't believe it. He promised not to do this again, and then he did it. Those words echo through the palace halls. To them, Harry wasn't just being careless. He was undermining the king's reign in real time. The monarchy thrives on stability and strength. Harry painted Charles as frail, weak, and on his way out. A eulogy in disguise. And William? Oh, William was livid. He spent years protecting his father, carefully managing his image, shielding the crown from scandal after scandal. Imagine his fury watching Harry casually hint about Charles's mortality in the pages of a paper known for tearing down the monarchy. This wasn't brotherly love. This was sabotage. To William, Harry wasn't lifting his father up, he was dragging him down. Critics didn't hold back either. Social media erupted with brutal one-liners. One viral comment summed it up. "Nothing says I love you, Dad, like predicting your early funeral in The Guardian." Cruel, maybe, but it captured exactly how people saw it. For Charles, this was unforgivable. He had extended that fragile olive branch, and Harry snapped it in half. Reconciliation? Dead. Any hope of healing? Gone. Once again, Harry turned what should have been a moment of unity into a circus. And here's the deliciously cruel twist. William is the one who comes out looking like the steady hand. For years, he's been painted as the cold brother, the bully who froze Harry out, the jealous heir. But Harry's guardian stunt gave William the sweetest revenge imaginable. Proof he was right all along. He had warned everyone, his father, palace staff, even the late Queen, that Harry couldn't be trusted. That Harry was unpredictable, impulsive, and too eager to turn private conversations into public drama. Back then, people accused William of being controlling, even cruel. But now everyone sees it. William wasn't being harsh. He was being prophetic. Behind the palace walls, aides whisper, maybe William's cold shoulder was the only thing that saved the monarchy. Because if Harry can twist a peace summit into a self-serving headline, what chaos would he unleash if he were truly welcomed back into the fold? The irony couldn't be sharper. Harry always wanted to prove William wrong. Instead, every interview, every book, every documentary has made William look like the level-headed heir, while Harry spirals further into the role of the loose cannon spare. And the public has noticed. Comment sections are flooded with reminders that William called this years ago. Protect the crown. Protect the king. Keep Harry out. At the time, it sounded paranoid. Now it sounds like prophecy. For William, this isn't just vindication. It's power. Without lifting a finger, he's been proven right. By staying silent, he allowed Harry to destroy his own credibility. The tabloids now hail William as the stable one, the sensible heir, while Harry sets himself up as the family's liability. And you can bet William isn't going to waste this moment. When history is written, it will say one thing loud and clear. William was right about his brother all along. But the drama doesn't stop there. Because just as Harry seemed poised to shine with something positive, his beloved Invictus games, he found a way to taint even that. When he flew to Ukraine under the banner of Invictus, the world expected headlines about resilience, sacrifice, and courage. The Games, his proudest creation, were supposed to be a sanctuary, a chance for wounded warriors to be celebrated far away from the circus of royal scandal. But what dominated the news? Not the veterans, not their stories. Harry's Guardian interview. Instead of celebrating Invictus heroes, headlines screamed about Harry's conscience, his bitterness, his digs at the family. The very men and women who fought and bled were pushed to the background of his personal melodrama. A soldier was overheard muttering, "It's supposed to be about us, not him." And honestly, who could argue? Sponsors noticed too. Invictus thrives on goodwill and global respect, but what donor wants to be tied to royal tantrums and political drama? Instead of uplifting the cause, Harry overshadowed it. He thought he was amplifying Invictus. In reality, he drowned it in scandal. And that's the bitter irony. In trying to paint himself as a global statesman, Harry dimmed the one thing that once gave him true purpose.